Times Influence Initiative.
The second edition of SIP Day opened avenues for retail investors from different age groups to clear the air about SIPs and mutual funds on the whole. A panel of experts came together to discuss the future of the mutual funds industry. The panel featured Manish Mehta, National Head Sales and Product Alliances, Kotak Mutual Fund; Shirish Patel, CEO Prudent Corporate Advisory Services; Nikhil Nayak, MD Nayak Wealth Advisors, and was moderated by Senior Editor for ET Now, Aisha Faridi.
Today we thought, why not focus on how to de-jargonize, how to simplify, and how to talk about whether mutual funds as an industry are ready to take it to the next level or not. Manish, let me start off with you. You know, when one talks about whether mutual funds are future ready or not, what is the vision that you at Kotak Mutual Fund have for mutual funds, say, in the next 5 to 10 years?
So just to share with you some statistics that 2016 April, the number of transactions happening online were about 120,000. And as of June, that number has gone to about 320,000. If you look at transactions being done on mobile, they were about 27,000 in April 16, which the number now is about close to 100,000. And another very interesting statistics that B15, as we categorize in mutual funds, like all cities beyond the top 6 or 7, 30% of transactions are coming from those small towns using mobiles or using technology. So I think the awareness or the acceptability or just the fact that, yes, that's one of the best prudent way of being able to invest, I think is definitely picking up. People are understanding that, yes, there are these tools available which can sort of help them make investments easily without not going through the trouble of, maybe visiting an office or going to some center where they can deposit a form. And I think, as an industry, we are definitely bracing technology or adapting technology in the right way to be able to reach out to more and more amount of people. And I think the same holds true even for our distribution partners who are working towards that.
And Nikhil, that brings me to you then. How is it that the role of an advisor has changed? How is it that you incorporate technology to help assist people better?
So I think a lot of time, if you go back 5 years back, I think a lot of time was spent on documentation. People needed a lot of assistance on the documentation. So, the processes were a little more cumbersome. And today, I think it has gone, literally gone. I mean, your 60% of time is being saved. But the bigger role that an advisor has to play is controlling the emotions of the client, keeping him on the course, keeping him committed to his goal day in, day out, not worry about what's happening in the market, what's happening, out to the outside world. I think that is the focus that a client has to, an advisor has to bring in. Because I have always said that investments will always make money. But for an investor to make money, he has to be disciplined, he has to stick to his goals and time horizon.
Shirish, coming to you then, what according to you is the next 5 years in the mutual fund industry going to look like? Is it going to be an aggressive use of robo-advisory? We have platforms right now. You have websites where you can just feed in your data that I want to put in 5,000 or 20,000 or whatever, 10,000 rupees per month. This is my objective. And tell me, what are the best mutual fund schemes? A hybrid scheme or a large cap scheme or a small cap scheme is what I'm looking at. Do you sense that there will be more such platforms, more robo-advisory that will come into play?
There are many robo-platforms are coming in the market. But as Manish said that today we have got almost 1.5 crores of SIPs, anticipated to be around 5 crore in next 5-6 years. Definitely technology has to be there. But I don't see that any client straight away going to only technology and doing the calculation and straight away transacting on the SIPs. As Nikhil said, that definitely advisor will play a certain role. So As an advisor, definitely today also if you look at in India, the number of advisors are less. So technology is essential if you want to grow or if you want to be 5x or 10x going forward. So robo definitely is important. As an advisor also, we also incorporating technology. Now today, let us say as an advisor is also using certain technologies to assist clients also to know their goals and all these things. So standalone robo definitely would there be a market for them. Definitely it is important if industry has to grow, but I don't see that robo will replace distribution or the advisory completely, because distributors and advisors are also using technology now. So all those things what robo is using, distributors are nowadays using. That is one. Second, earlier what used to happen, as an advisor, we used to do all the form filling. If you want to update any client, definitely I think it takes lots of time. With technology, I think we have technically, I think we are not doing anything on the documentation side. So now, I think as an advisor, we are free to analyze the portfolio of the client and the advisory becomes better. Third, as an individual person or as an advisor, manually, one person cannot deal with more than 100 families. But with technology, easily, I think the capability of an advisor to deal with maximum number of clients has increased. So yeah, robo is important. Robo platforms are coming. We also have the platforms today offering the robo advisory and all these things. But distributor or advisor role still will remain. That is what we believe.
Nikhil, at a time when there is such a deluge of data, there are newspapers, there are apps, there are all the social media websites. What are the common mistakes and errors that people make at a time when there is so much information all over?
Yeah, so I think it is important to cut the noise. There are two examples that I'll give. When Buffett was asked about, what the market view. Yeah, so he said that he's bought there's only one land that he's bought, which is 400 acres. And he said, I never bought that farm looking at the weather channel and what's going to be the weather tomorrow. Because you always take a 10-year, 15-year view for your investments. And you should, ignore the noise. The other thing is, if you look at in mythology, Ganesha went around his parents and Kartika went around the world. So he was asked why Ganesha won. So he said, Kartika went around the world, Ganesha went around my world or his world. So I think it's important to stick to our world, what is really, really important for our portfolio. And yes, there will be ups and downs, there will be distractions. The people who are able to ignore that noise, cut that noise, are the ones who have always made more money. So,
and just to add to Nikhil's point, there is this, it's a very common thing that if you look at the returns that the markets have given over periods of time and you match them to an investor's return, there is huge disparity. So from 99 till about June of 2016, I think the Nifty returns have been in the range of about 11.5 to 12%. For the same period, an investor's return is 7%. Now, why is there that gap? It's because of maybe decisions at the wrong time that have been taken by them, which has probably resulted to this. And this is one very common feedback which when we go and meet a lot of investors through IAPs, saying that mutual funds is risky and we have never ever made money. And when we actually sort of think more into it, it's only because you never rode the whole wave.
Yeah, I guess it's exactly like Nikhil said. When you buy a house, not every day you go and check the prices of whether the land price has appreciated or depreciated. So you got to make that objective. Why is it that I'm saving the money? What is my purpose? Is it for a holiday? It's something as short term as that. Is it for my child's education? Is it for my daughter's marriage? And then put that money aside every month. Make sure that you have whatever denomination that you want to put in your SIP, 5,000, 1 lakh, anything beyond that, and just be consistent with that saving, right?
I think I would like to add a few points there. As you said, the biggest mistake what the investors are making. Historically, if you look at the volumes in the mutual fund industry, when the historical returns are very, very high, most of the investors will come and start the investments in mutual funds. Lately, let us assume the SIPs are prominent. If you go 3-4 years before, when the SIPs probably for the first time shown the SIP returns last 4-5 years negative returns, and we saw many terminations of SIP. So biggest mistake investors are making is that when the markets are rising, they come in the market. Hypothetically, after a few years, the market is negative. mutual fund returns are negative. That time they forget their goals and all these things and they start worrying about their investments. And that time, that is the worst time to stop the SIP. So one, I think I would advise investor not to make this mistake, that at least don't stop SIP when the returns are bad or negative. Rather, that is the best time to invest further. Second, every time investors chase the best performing fund. Now today, if I start my SIP, where would I start? The best performing fund, I'll start my SIP today. After 2 years, I'll say that, yeah, my fund is not doing better, somebody else is doing better than that. The investor would stop that SIP and start in some other fund. So biggest mistake I think they are doing is that switching the funds and regularly. I would say that identify the fund which is a long-term horizon. As you said that I think they should marry with the goal. So unless and until the goal is achieved, I think they should continue with the SIP. So based on the market fluctuation, I think they should not look at the SIP valuation. And the biggest mistake everybody is doing is that they stop the SIP when the market corrects. And that is the worst mistake everybody makes.
Yeah, patience pays when it comes to stock market investing. Let's also throw open the floor to any audience questions if you may have for 3 of our experts. Anyone?
Any simplifications coming in future for the KYC procedure, as e-KYC is something which is coming to action, and e-Mudra being the platform used for KYC compliance nowadays, but anything in the future?
Yeah, so I'm sure Aadhaar will make it simpler. You want to take that question?
No, I think these challenges will always exist, and earlier I said we had some other challenges. So the transactional nuances will remain, and just to make your point, you asked, will it be as simple as WhatsApp? I think it's been simpler than WhatsApp, because today you can't schedule a text or a message on WhatsApp that I want to send a message to my friends 10 days in future, or every month I want to send you can't schedule that. But in an SIP,
it's like setting an alarm.
Yes,
I stand corrected, yeah.
I think I would like to add a point to answer his question specifically. There are many platforms available. We are also launching a platform very soon, wherein the client can go to portal, can get the KYC done, and immediately can start the SIP. That is number one. Today also we need the physical mandate form. I think many of the platforms are starting that e-mandate will start anytime now. So without going up even physical mandate also, you can start the SIP in very near future. I think that day you can go all out and talk to all the clients across the world and start the SIP completely paperless and within no time.
Yes, the gentleman right in front.
There are a lot of discussions on NPAs with banks. So similarly, debt mutual funds also, they take commercial papers and other investments in lots of companies. Of course, different rated, AAA, AA rated. So how serious is the risk of defaults on debt mutual fund from these companies?
Yeah. What happens is, anyway, as far as investment guidelines, like how the regulator has prescribed investment guidelines for equity funds, there are similar guidelines which prevail for fixed income funds also. There is a minimum threshold in terms of rating that they can buy. About a year and a half back, the regulator has also come back and put guidelines in terms of what percentage can we be in a single issuer and what percentage can we be in a particular sector. So with those kind of guidelines falling in place, that sort of gives, in fact, puts a sort of a rain check in terms of the mutual funds, in terms of investment making decisions. The other important thing is, as an industry, we understand and recognize that we are managing clients' money in fiduciary capacity, and any slip-ups on decisions on investments in terms of the quality of paper can completely erode the trust of the investor and the franchise of the mutual fund. So I think with the regulator also now having put in these kind of rules and regulation, I think the industry is very strictly adhering to it. I think even if you look at it from a valuation point of view, the guidelines are very clear in terms of how even if debt paper has to be marked to market on a daily basis, and the NAV represents the true value of that asset. And I think independently, every asset manager has gotten like risk measure, like a comprehensive risk department internally, plus other maybe risk measures in terms of evaluating every such credit before they decide to buy it in the portfolios.
I'm going to thank our panelists and thank all of you for being such a great audience. Thanks so much.
Nilesh Shah of Kotak Mutual Fund gave his insights on the importance of investing in SIPs and ensured that any time is a good time to invest.
In last 5 years, 6 lakh rupee invested over 5 years would have grown to about 12 lakh rupee, giving you about 28% XIRR. And instead of SIP, if you had invested a lump sum investment 5 years back, that 1 lakh would have become roughly about 3.3 lakhs, giving you roughly 27% CAGR. So if you see the lump sum investment versus SIP over a longer period of time virtually starts delivering similar return. No one can time the market, so it's far better to do SIP rather than going and wasting time and energy on timing the market. Should you be doing SIP on a single stock, or should you be doing SIP on a mutual fund or a portfolio? If you are doing SIP in a single stock, you have to ensure that your stock is like Tendulkar. It will continue to deliver through ups and downs. If you have ability to pick up Tendulkar, surely go and invest in a single stock. But if you don't have that ability, which we don't possess, go and pick up the mutual fund portfolio, go and pick up a diversified portfolio. It will have some batsman, some bowler, some wicket keeper, some all-rounder. Combination of that will deliver return. Form is temporary, class is permanent. I mean, Virat Kohli, he today has world's highest average in one-day international. But he has also got out 11 times for 0 in one-day international in his short career. But that doesn't mean anything to his stature as a finest batsman of one-day international. SIP also will deliver ducks for a short period of time in your investment horizon. But if you give them enough time, it will come back and it will start delivering return. SIP in that sense is like a tapasya. You have to pray for a long enough period of time to get the vardhan of Lakshmi Mata. SIP in some sense is like a bamboo tree. You have to invest, and for years you may not see any result. But one bull market and that SIP tree will grow like a bamboo tree. SIP is like your regular medicine. I mean, some of you might suffer from blood pressure or cholesterol or diabetes, and doctor would have prescribed you certain medicine. And normally all of us take one medicine a day or 3 medicines a day. We don't take 365 days medicine in a single day to cure ourselves of diabetes or cholesterol or blood pressure. SIP is same thing. You don't put money at one go, you take installments. The value of advisor. I mean, if SIP is such a commonsensical, simple concept, do you need an advisor? And as Nikhil and Shirish were there, you do need an advisor to pick up SIP in a equity mutual fund, because today there are more than 500, 600 mutual fund schemes. And within schemes, there are multiple plans. If you choose an advisor, your journey will be simple and straight. If you don't choose an advisor, you will get confused. And maybe you'll end up doing SIP in a scheme which is not performing well. So when you are starting an SIP, do take care to ensure that you have someone who is holding your hand towards right schemes, right product. But most importantly, this is the message from Gandhiji. He was a Baniya, quote unquote. And what he said was, don't bother about daily Sensex movement. Don't bother about hype and noise. Don't bother about tips. No one in the world is interested in making you rich by giving you free tips. In fact, it has been now proven in few cases that people who come on television giving free advice end up recommending you to buy something when they want to sell, and end up recommending selling you something when they want to buy. What Gandhiji's message was: long-term investment, regular investment, and asset allocation. These are the surefire way to get independence from financial worries, and SIP is a beginning. Once you get accustomed to SIPs, obviously there are many more instruments and tools which you have to use. But for beginners, there's no better instrument than SIPs to get out of financial worries.
Sir, for retail investors, what would be the parameters that you would suggest in picking multi-bagger stocks?
So one, how to pick multi-bagger stock. There's no shortcut to success. If you want to become like Ramdev Agarwal, if you want to become like Nimesh Bhai, if you want to become like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, one, you must have luck like them. Second, you must have skill like them. There's no shortcut over here. You have to read thousands of balance sheets. You have to meet hundreds of management. You have to understand the macro trends, micro pictures, and you have to put appropriate money. There are many people who have bought Infosys at 100 rupee on listing, but they sold out when it went into discount. There are many people who bought Kotak Mahindra Finance on listing, and for 10 years, Kotak Mahindra Finance didn't deliver any return to the person who bought on the day of listing. Many people got burnt out, they got tired, they sold out. And from those points, Kotak Mahindra Finance has been a multi-bagger. So what you require is discipline, skill, luck, all combined. Investment is an art, it's not a science. You could play lefty like Saurav Ganguly and still score a century. You can play like Virendra Sehwag righty and still score a century. You can be like Rahul Dravid and still score a century by tiring bowlers out. You can be like Virendra Sehwag and hitting people out of 4s and 6s, you can still score a century. So there is no one perfect style. Do what is appropriate for you, but without putting that hard work, there's no shortcut. If you just buy what you hear Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is buying or Ramdev Agarwal is buying, will that give you money? The answer is quite likely no, because when the tide turns, you may not have the patience to withhold those stocks like those guys. They will buy more when price is correct and if fundamentals haven't deteriorated. Most retail investors will follow the price and sell rather than buy.
I'd like to invite the National Head of Sales and Product Alliances at Kotak Mutual Fund, Manish Mehta, back on stage to deliver a vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Some of the key inputs which came out of all panels was A, discipline, continuity in investments, stick to your long-term goals, sticks to your financial goals, the reason and the objective for which the SIP has been done. I think we need to be sincere towards it and see to it that we adhere to that discipline of investing. So I think that should probably be the key takeaway out of this session that we've had today. So thank you once again on behalf of Kotak Mutual Fund and ET Now for being here with us today. Thank you very much.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
A Times Influence Initiative.